Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel LoveUrCode. If you're watching our video for the first time, then do subscribe to our channel to get further updates. So let's get started with our third session on Python. So these are the topics that we will be covering today. And yes, if you have not gone through my previous session on Python, then do check it out. The link is provided in the description box. Now let's understand what loop is. Normally, when there is a need for us to repeat the same steps n number of times, then it becomes hectic. So for example, you need to print the numbers from 1 to 1000. You think it's a good idea to type 1000 lines of code to display each number? Definitely not. This is where our loop comes into picture. Python supports while and for loop. Let's first understand the while loop. The block of code in the while loop gets executed as long as the condition is true. We can make use of break and continue statement to control our flow of execution. So let's understand this practically. Let me take an example of printing numbers from 1 to 10. So for that, I will need an indexing variable first. So let me name it as x. And I need to print numbers from 1 to 10. So I will have to assign the variable with the value 1. Then I will type the while statement followed by a condition that if x is less than or equal to 10, which means I will be executing the body of the while until the x value is less than or equal to 10. And do not forget to give an indentation. So then I am trying to print the value of x. And the most important step while writing while loop is that you should not forget to increment the value of x. It is because if you don't increment the value of x, then the value of x will always remain 1 and the condition of while will always satisfy because 1 is less than or equal to 10, and therefore the loop will never get terminated. So you will have to make sure that you increment the value of x. So I have incremented the value of x by 1. If you need, you can increment by 2 or 3 according to your condition. Now on running this code, as you see, I have printed the number from 1 to 10 by just including one print statement. So this is where our loop comes into picture. You can also have your else block after your while block. That is, when the condition is false, then automatically the control will flow to the else block and the statements in the else block will get executed. So let me try that. Else, so I am trying to print not in while loop. Now let me try running this code. So yes, as you see, the number from 1 to 10 gets printed, but when the value of x turns to 11, then the condition becomes false and therefore our flow will automatically move to our else block and the code in the else block will start executing. Now, if you want to stop your loop even if the condition is true, then you can very well use a statement called break to achieve this. That is, say for example, I need to exit out of my loop when my x value is 3. Then I will do that like this. Say for example, I have took the variable as I and I have assigned it a value 1, and then I am trying to print the value of I from 1 to 5, and then I say if I value is equal to 3, then break, which means that it will not execute after 3. As you can see, I have stopped the loop even when my condition is satisfied. Now let's say instead of stopping the entire loop, you just need to skip one particular iteration. Then in that case, you simply go with continue statement. So in this code, when the value of I is 3, then we simply continue, which means we skip that particular iteration alone. So when on running this code, you can see that it doesn't print the value of 3 because we have made it to skip that particular iteration. So as you can see, 3 is missing. It is because I have skipped that particular iteration. So say for example, I change it to 4 now, then it would skip the value of 4 and print the value of 3. So this is how you can skip one particular iteration instead of stopping the entire loop. Next, we have the for loop, which is again used to iterate over a sequence of data. We can make use of both the break and continue statement in order to control our flow of execution. In addition to that, we have something called a range function, which we will be understanding with the help of sample code. You can also have your else block after your for loop block. That is, when the code in the for loop gets executed, the else block will automatically get triggered. You can also have nested loop, that is a loop within a loop. So in that case, first your inner loop will get executed, after which your outer loop will get executed. So let's understand all of this with the help of sample code. To understand a for loop, I will be iterating over a list of values. So list again is a different topic which we will be covering in our upcoming session. So let me name my list as fruit, and then I am assigning it 3 values, and this is how you assign value. Apple, comma, banana, comma, orange maybe. Then I am using the for loop to iterate. So I use for, then an indexing variable, say x, then the keyword in, and then our list name. At last, I am trying to print the value of x. So on doing this, we will be able to iterate over different values stored in a list. So yes, as you can see, this is the expected output. Now let's understand it with the help of break statement. So what I have done is, when the value of x is banana, then I simply come out of my iteration. And as you can see, only apple gets printed. It is because when our value of x is banana, our control will automatically exit out of the loop. So say I have another variable here, say orange, then this code would print apple, orange, and then exit. It is because it encounters the value banana at the third place. So therefore, it will result in fetching us first 2 data. Now instead of stopping the entire iteration, I am just trying to stop one particular iteration with the help of continue statement. The result I would get would look something like this. It is because the execution doesn't end here, it just skips that particular iteration. Next, let us try to understand what a range function can do. Now say for example, I am trying to print values from 1 to 10. So I do that with the help of a range function for x in the range. So when you give 6 and then you try to print it, the values we get is from 0 to 5. So as you can see, so if I give the range to be 7, then the values displayed will be from 0 to 6. So for example, you don't want your code to start from 0, you indeed want it to start from 1. Then you can simply do that by giving 1, 7. That is, the output we receive would look something like this. In case if you want to increment the value by 2 instead of incrementing by 1, that is, as you see, the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which has just incremented by 1. But I want to display 1, 3, 5, then I simply give 2, which means I'm telling the value of x to get incremented by 2. So yes, it has got incremented by 2. Now say I want to increment it by 5, I can do that. As you can see, it has got incremented by 5. So this is how you use your range function. Next, let's see what function is. It is nothing but a block of code which gets executed only when we call it. Otherwise, it doesn't get executed at all. You can pass the data to a function, you can receive data from the function. We have seen few built-in functions, right? Like a print function, a range function. So Python provides the privilege to define your own function. The concept of function was introduced to make a block of code reusable. Let's understand how we define a function, call a function, pass the values, return the data, everything practically. Now, let's see how we define a function in Python. We have a keyword called def by which we define a function. So I'm using def followed by a function name. Here I'm going to perform addition, so I will give my function name as add. Then I'm trying to print the addition of two numbers, 3 and 8 respectively. And do not forget to call your function, otherwise your function will never get executed. So this is how I call a function. And then running this code, my output would be 11. Now let me try passing my values to the function. So this is how I do that. I pass two arguments 10 and 15. In the function definition, I have used two variables num1 and num2 to accept the passed values, and then I'm trying to add the two values and then print it. The expected output is 25. It is because num1 has been assigned with the value 10 and num2 with the value 15. Now what if I pass only one value but the function is expecting two values? Python would definitely throw an error because it is not sure which value to assign to number 2. So in that case, you can simply pass the expected number of values, or you have another alternate called default value. That is, you can assign a default value to the parameter. So here the value 10 gets assigned to number 1, while value 25, the default value, gets assigned to number 2, and therefore my output would be 35. Now I'm trying to return a value from the function. So instead of print, you simply give return. It's again a keyword, and as your function is returning some data, you will have to store it in a variable. So that is why I have used a variable result, and then I'm trying to print the value of result. So in this case, again our output would be 35. because num1 plus num2, that is 10 plus 25, would give us 35. Now let me try changing my default value from 25 to 27. So now num2 will be assigned with the default value 27. So my output would be 37. Now what if the number of arguments are unknown? So in that case, you can simply use an asterisk symbol in front of your parameter. So this is how I write a code for that. So I am passing 3 values, but I have used only one variable in my parameter. As I have used a star symbol, my Python would not throw an error and it will work absolutely fine. So yes, this is the expected output. Now let me try passing 4 values instead of 3 and check if my code still works. So yes, it works. So if you're not sure about the number of arguments, then you can simply use the asterisk symbol. You can not only pass values to your function, you can also pass an entire list of values, tuple of values or dictionary to your function. So here I have declared a list fruit and I have assigned 3 values, apple, banana and cherry respectively. Then I have passed the entire list to my function and then I'm trying to print the value of the fruit list. So this is the output I get. So this is how I declare a tuple. You will have to use parentheses instead of square brackets. And let me check if my code works. So yes, my function is able to accept tuple of values also. So this is how you define a function in Python. So yes, we are done with the session for today and stay tuned for our upcoming video on collections. And do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.